Dave and Dave. A podcast in your face.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Dave
and Dave,
a podcast in your face where we talk about what's going on in the world and how, if you like what that is, or you're interested, how you can find more in graphic audio. This week, we are talking about Batman and the graphic audio series X, Stalag X, Dark Horse Comics X, and we have the director.
I'm sorry, before we go any further, I have to correct you. We're not talking about Batman. We're talking about the Batman, similar to the Ohio State, which I don't really care for, but we can't forget that article before the title.
Oh, my apologies.
Yeah, get it right.
Come on, man.
Yeah. Anyway, before I was so rudely interrupted, we have the director of X, Eric Messner.
Hi.
Hello, Eric.
I'm very happy to be here. What happens?
Well, we talk about something that's going on, and a lot of people are watching The Batman right now because it's on HBO Max, and just a very popular movie in general. And we thought about how that relates to graphic audio, and the first thing that came to mind was the Dark Horse comic X, which you recently did not too long ago. Is that correct?
Yeah, not too long ago. I did volumes 1 and 2. Or no, I did volume 1, and we're about to finish up 2, 3, and 4. And I'm currently adapting 5 and 6. So,
yeah,
how many are there?
The long answer to your question. The short answer is yes.
And how many volumes are out / will you be doing? Do you know of?
Only 1 and 2 are out now. 2 just came out like yesterday or the day before. Available at GraphicAudio.net. And the next several will be coming out over the next 2 months. But there are only 6. We will end the run of X. He's sort of a fun character. He had like a life back in the 80s or something, and then he was revamped back in the like around 2010, 11. And that's the volume we're working on now, the 2010 to like 2014 version.
Very cool. And not Batman. So X is similar to Batman in that he's a vigilante. He beats up the bad guys. But like Batman, does he not kill anybody? Or
oh no,
he
kills people on the regular. He does not have. He does have some sort of code that seems to come back into play when it needs to. He has like a very decisive method of like criminals get a warning. And then it's like they get sent a picture with a slash across their face. Like they get a picture, like a headshot with a slash across it, and that's a warning. If it's a full X, they better leave town or they're dead.
Ooh, so it's not like 2 X's, it's single slash and then double.
Yeah. So it's
okay. So it's like a 3-strike situation?
Well, it's 2, I suppose, in this, but 1 strike of the X is a warning. The second strike is, you're dead now.
Oh, man.
So, yeah. But he is in that, like, I've described him as sort of a cross between, like, Batman, the Punisher. I know we're mixing major, comic book companies, as well as there's, like, a little bit of Rorschach from Watchmen in there. But like, he's sort of a scrapper. He's not rich, but he has a lot of access to guns and ammunition. He sort of has a healing factor that is never
addressed,
really fleshed out or explained. Like, they know that he heals faster than most people, and he can take more damage than a lot of other people, but it's never fully. And that's like sort of part of the Dark Horse comics. I believe it's called the Vortex. A lot of like the superheroes in that sort of that company, that group, some of their powers are derived from the Vortex, which I keep trying to say it to add a little more like emphasis.
Like you keep saying that word, so expecting me to know what that word means, and I'm like, no, still nothing.
I thought it just came from like healthy living, good eating.
Yeah, or like omega-3s, fatty acids. I don't know. Fish oil, a lot of fish oil, snake oil.
Is he funny? Like, is because when I see the pictures, it reminds me of like Deadpoolish kind of thing. Does he have that humor, or is it dark, serious? Like
It's pretty dark and serious. Like it's pretty heavy. He does, as the series progresses, he and a reporter sort of become a team, and she helps him. And they do have sort of a, like, he loosens up a little bit, but he's still grim and dark. He does not, like, even remotely get to, like, the Deadpool level of humor.
What about a Schwarzenegger, like, stick around? Does he do any of those?
He's done that a couple times. He's like, let's see if these other guys are wearing armor. And he just shoots them. And there's like and he's like, nope. So there's that. But like, he's not zany. He's not wacky. He is grim and trying to save the city of Arcadia from itself.
So
now his past is like kind of unknown, right? Like we know he wakes up like in a hospital at some point. And he's it really isn't delved into at all in the current run. Like he comes into it and he has been a vigilante, and they don't like really go. Like I thought about going back and reading like the previous iteration, but it sounds like it gets like he takes over Washington, D.C. at some point in the previous version. I was like, I don't think that's going to apply here. Mm-hmm. And then, frankly, I mean, in point of fact, it doesn't. It really just sticks to Arcadia, and then like the sort of mission ends. But spoiler in Volume 6.
So let me ask you both: what is it about the vigilante story that is a fantasy that we collectively keep returning to? Like a guy who, usually because the system has let them down, or there's people getting away with bad things, and there's a person who has to take matters into their own hand. Obviously that's, not a good idea in real life, but, in fantasies and fiction, it keeps coming up. So what is that about that?
You want to go first, Eric?
No, you go ahead. If you got something, go ahead.
Yeah. So, I mean, when I'm thinking about my own experience, it's partially like, not that I would want to go out and do those things, but the reason it feels enjoyable is like, there's this feeling about this disliking the feeling of powerlessness, right? And there's so much that happens in everybody's life that we're just completely powerless over, and like these negative things, and you see it happening, whether it's something that's happening in government or a bully picking on someone that you see. There's this feeling of helplessness that's subverted by the idea of being like a vigilante that can just go out and take care of it, right? And there's something about finally getting to that point where you're like, I'm gonna make a stand and put my foot down and taking that power back. You might be able to do something and change the world around you, and that is somehow a feel-good story, even though like in the way it's told. And the Batman is pretty much just depressing the entire time. Even though he's taking these people down, I think, especially in this last movie, it's like you knock one down and it's just replaced by another. And I think that's, maybe also the reality of it is that as soon as you take out like the bad people, there's always going to be another bad person. There's always going to be something else that's bad. But the drive to push for the better world is the feel good part of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Especially in the Batman, the consequences too, when they have like spoiler for the Batman, semi-spoilers. So the Riddler has like an army of followers, and they're regurgitating like Batman's own like verbiage, and like they unmask one guy. He's like, "Who are you?" And he says, "I'm vengeance." And then it's like, that's what Batman says. So you have people like imitating the vigilante, and it's just getting out of control. So you get to feel Batman's like the crushing weight of responsibility of righting these wrongs and creating new wrongs unintentionally. So there's all sorts of drama, and I love it. But going back to the original question, Eric, what do you think? What draws us to this kind of stuff?
I mean, I think that there's something about the hero mythos. I mean, we could talk about Joseph Campbell's, hero myth, where it's basically the story of Star Wars. Like a young man gets the call to adventure. There's like an older teacher, so like you've got Luke Skywalker, and then you've got, Obi-Wan right there. It's the same thing in like Lord of the Rings. There's Gandalf, who's like the old teacher, but like Frodo or Bilbo, who like get the call to adventure. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a very powerful lure, because like everybody wants to be the hero, and everybody thinks of themselves as the hero, to their own story. And I mean, unless you've got a little bit of self-awareness and you're like, I haven't had a call to adventure yet, and I'm in my 40s. I don't think I'm the protagonist here.
Bring the meatloaf and a sense of adventure.
But I mean, I think that I agree with Dave. There's the other Dave, in that not you, but there's something about wanting to affect a change. Particularly when you see an injustice and you feel like it's not being handled fast enough. And you get that sort of sense of frustration with, the slow moving governing system we have, that like things do not move quickly in that. And it's frustrating, but the idea of being able to take something into your own hands and fix it and make it better for yourself or others, I would imagine there's an altruism there of being like, wanting to help everybody.
This whole genre reminds me of a somewhat altered version of a Western. I mean, in a Western, you have like an untamed area where the law doesn't work because it's frankly not around. There's no established system of law and order. And in these stories, there is an established form of law and order. It's just corrupt or falling apart. Like I did listen to the first part of Big Bad, which I think is the first entry into X. And they did say the city of Arcadia is constantly falling apart and constantly like in disarray. And you get that a lot in the Batman too, where this once nice thing is, everything might have been pleasant at one time, but now the city's eating itself apart. And law and order, in both respects, in the Western and in here, law and order is not the answer or not part of the solution. So I feel like there's a lot of parallels with Westerns, and I felt that very strongly when I was listening to both X and also watching the Batman.
Yeah. It is funny, like in comparison, not that we can keep talking, well, I mean, we can keep talking about the Batman, but like, it is such a grim look at a city. Like, it's always raining. It seems like it's always
it was raining. Anytime it was night, it was always just downpour.
Yeah.
It was one of the first things I noticed.
Guys, we have listeners who are in Seattle and in London. I don't think we should talk this much shit about rain.
I ended up like watching it on the iPad because I could turn the contrast up all the way so I could like see
what was in the background.
It was like I tried watching it on like a Saturday afternoon, and I'm like, there's too much sunlight in the room. I can't see anything on the screen.
Now there was one thing, and you sort of touched on this, Eric, and it was so did you, Dave. There's been an ongoing theme, and it was in the Batman, and it was definitely in the Joker. Now that I think about it, like in the Batman, it was more like talking about corruption. Like all of the city officials are corrupted. They're under the thumb of the mob boss kind of thing. And in the Joker, there was a large like undertow of like inequality, right? Like wealth inequality in particular that actually drove the Joker right to be what he was. And so sort of piggybacking on like the hero story, we also there's a thin line between the hero and the villain, right? Like the villain sees all of this, realizes that society is corrupt and will never like it is a system built on corruption and inequality and all of these negative things. And like the hero discovers, when you peel back those layers, you create other problems. But to the villain, the solution to all of that is to burn it all down, right? Like you burn it all down and then start rebuild from the ashes, right? And so there's that fine line between the hero that wants to fix all of the stuff and the villain that wants to fix it all by just destroying everything.
Going back to the X series, does he meet any person that's like his match, or is he always constantly outsmarting them based upon like willpower and just a sense of righteousness? How does
he does meet his match. I mean, he spends a lot of time getting beat up, which is I think. I mean,
tell me more.
But like he keeps, he's just like in his own way a blunt instrument that he's going to keep hammering away at things until he wins. Mm-hmm. And I mean, but like one of the great like sort of humanizing aspects of it, and I think it's one of the reasons that we like Indiana Jones as a character, is because he gets tired. You see that and it feels normal to you. And it's very endearing in a hero where you're like, man, he's hurt and he's tired, it's great. It works.
It's like John McCain in the first, or John McCain. Yeah. You remember when John McCain was in Die Hard? And he's like, I got a machine gun now. Ho, ho, ho. No, but John McClane in the first Die Hard, he got hurt. Like he was a vulnerable person.
Yeah.
And then by like the third or fourth one, he's just another Rambo. He doesn't feel pain. He doesn't feel anything. He's unrelatable.
Yeah, that's it. That's all I have to say on that.
So he's just, but his main thing is he's just determined, like nothing's going to stop him.
Right. Yeah. He keeps getting up somehow and he keeps going. And that in a character is just endearing as well. You're like,
right.
I will keep fighting until I can't. And that's noble.
That's life, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you go to the all you can eat challenge,
get up
you
again.
Go to a buffet, you just got to keep going until you can't anymore. It's life. Golden Corral style.
Both of the I love those analogies. Like, Zitney quotes Chumbawamba. you likened it to a buffet. The noblest of pursuits, the American buffet. I know we're joking, but it's a compelling book, and I think it starts off as one thing, and it sort of he becomes a bit more noble and a bit more heroic as he goes. And I think that's a fun, when you have a character that's sort of a scrapper version of Batman and the Punisher, that, actually attains some sort of nobility and actually makes a decision about themselves. I think that's a great thing to sort of work through and watch.
But going back to what you were saying about the character finding like a nobler pursuit and kind of evolving, that's similar to what happens in the Batman. And it has to keep it like you guys said, you can punch everybody in the city all you want, but there's just going to be more people to punch. And Batman has a similar realization where he starts like realizing it's more about like saving people as opposed to punching people in the face for a little bit. But you have to transcend. The character has to go somewhere. It can't just like, well, I finally get to the bad guy, I'm going to punch him out and then call it a day. Wake up, do it again tomorrow. Or, it's just, there's got to be more to the character. So it's good that X is going to have a character growth. It's not just killing people who deserve it.
Right. It's the same argument you can make where like Bruce Wayne at one point was like, I've got to help Gotham. And, the suggestion is like, oh, well, there's like a lot of social programs that you could enact with your immense wealth and like have all these, like, I'll become a bat. That's what I'm going to do and punch criminals. And,
I'll buy Twitter.
Yeah.
Right. He does become more than that, though. Even in the scope of just the Batman, right? Like towards the end, you can see there's already this shift, or maybe it's a realization where it goes from my motivation is to smite down all of the evil and like eradicate the evil from the city and save people that way, and then he realizes towards the end that he's become a symbol of hope, right? And then there's that transition there where he realizes that he's doing more good by being that symbol of hope for people and, reaching out his hand to like the downtrodden person and being like, offering the comfort that way rather than just, eradicating all of the evil people. Like, I guess you still kind of got to do both.
Yeah.
But
as long as he can still punch people, I think he'll be fine.
It's true. That's important. You know, you got that suit. You got to use it.
One last thing I want to comment about X. I love how the creativeness of the murder weapons. So I don't think, at least when I was listening, he killed the same people or two different people in the same way. Whether it was a crowbar to the neck or a sword slice. It's quite entertaining.
Yeah. He does not mess around. And I do admire, it must be fun for the designers too. We're like, okay, it's a sword this time, and we're going to lose several digits.
Yeah.
I want to hear them hitting the floor. The floor is made out of wood. So.
Yeah, you're right. And a lot of our stories, like the Deathlands, like characters are kind of conflated with their weapons. Like they have a signature weapon that they use all the time. Not this time. This guy's using everything at his disposal.
Yeah. And that's the thing. He, in that same quality as Batman, he does, like, in some of the books, like, if he knows he's going to meet someone somewhere, he goes and prepares the area and, like, hides weapons and wires in bombs. You know, like, he does his prep. He does his research and his prep. So that's appealing in its own way to, you know, someone like me who likes to prepare for things.
Yeah. You were an Eagle Scout, correct?
No, I quit Boy Scouts because I was tired of getting beat up so much.
Oh no!
So I made it to like whatever the third rank is, like just the one past Tenderfoot. I think is the one I made.
Oh, so you were in Cub Scouts, not even Boy Scouts, right? Or was it?
Well, no, Cub Scouts is like bear, wolf, something.
Hey, man, I don't know. Okay,
yeah.
And oh, you're gonna make that joke and not know the background?
I just know that you were probably a Weeblo. That's all. That's the one thing.
Yeah.
That's the one rank I know about.
That's the final level of Cub Scouts. Boy Scouts, It's like something Tenderfoot, first class, star, Indian Eagle, I think. I don't know. I don't remember. It's been, 25 years.
Please
for me,
add us at Eric Messner. And let us know if we're right, because it sounds like we're right.
All right. Well, on that note, I've got to go play with my daughter. So.
All right, Eric, have a good one.
You
Take
too.
care.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey everyone, it's Dave from Dave and Dave. Thanks so much for listening. We have a lot of awesome shows lined up for you guys, so make sure you follow us on Twitter and Instagram at GraphicAudio. And if you're on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe to get the latest episodes. If you're new to GA, you can use the code GADAVE2 for 5% off your first purchase on top of any other current sales. Thanks again for listening, and be well.